Hey y'all, it's Kim again. So this is like letters and MySpace stuff and deposition information between Jeffrey Epstein's lawyers and some of and the prosecutor, but also the prosecutors, no, the attorneys are trying to discredit some of the young victims that Jeffrey Epstein had by showing the information they've been posting on their social media, like MySpace. But anyway, this is going through right now a deposition that was taken between the 14-year-old victim and, or just about Jeffrey Epstein, and then some of the people that were helping him, Sarah Palin and Haley Robeson, I think. Anyway, so this is getting back into it. So this is count one: sexual assault against defendant Epstein. Plaintiff Jane Doe, by and through her mother as parent and natural guardian, repeats and alleges paragraph 1 through 16 above. Defendant Epstein tortiously assaulted Jane Doe sexually in or about 2005. Just give it a second. Okay. This sexual assault was in violation of Chapter 800 of the Florida statutes, which recognizes as a crime the lewd and lascivious acts committed by Epstein upon Jane Doe. As a direct and proximate result of Epstein's assault on Jane Doe, she has suffered and will continue to suffer severe and permanent traumatic injuries, including mental, psychological, and emotional damages. Wherefore, plaintiff Jane Doe, by and through her mother as parent and natural guardian, demands judgment against defendant Jeffrey Epstein for compensatory damages, costs, attorney fees, and such other and further relief as this count deems just and proper. Further, plaintiff reserves the right to amend the complaint to add a claim for punitive damages pursuant to Florida law. Count two, civil conspiracy against defendant Epstein, Robeson, and Kellen. Plaintiff Jane Doe, by and through her mother as parent and natural guardian, repeats and realleges paragraphs 1 through 16 above. Defendants Epstein, Robeson, and Kellen conspired to subject Jane Doe to the sexual assault of defendant Epstein. Each of the defendants committed an overt act in pursuance of this conspiracy. Defendant Robeson used false pretenses to allure Jane Doe to the home of defendant Epstein so that Epstein could sexually assault Jane Doe. Defendant Kellen delivered Jane Doe to defendant Epstein's bedroom so that Epstein could sexually assault Jane Doe, and defendant Epstein actually committed sexual assault against Jane Doe. As a direct and proximate result of defendant's civil conspiracy, Jane Doe has suffered and will continue to suffer severe and permanent traumatic injuries, including mental, psychological, and emotional damages. Wherefore, plaintiff Jane Doe, by and through her mother, as parent and natural guardian, demands judgment against defendants Jeffrey Epstein, Haley Robeson, and Sarah Kellen for compensatory damages, costs, attorney fees, and such other and further relief as this court deems just and proper. Further, plaintiff reserves the right to amend this complaint to add a claim for punitive damages pursuant to Florida law. Count three, intentional infliction of emotional distress against defendant Epstein. Plaintiff Jane Doe, by and through her mother as parent and natural guardian, repeats and realleges paragraph 1 through 16 above. Epstein's conduct was intentionally reckless, was intentional or reckless. Epstein's conduct was outrageous, going beyond all bounds of decency. Epstein's conduct caused severe emotional distress not only to Jane Doe. Epstein knew or had reason to know that his intentional and outrageous conduct would cause emotional trauma and damage to Jane Doe and her mother. As a direct As a direct and proximate result of Epstein's intentional or reckless conduct, Jane Doe would continue to suffer severe mental anguish and pain. Wherefore, plaintiff Jane Doe, by and through her mother as parent and natural guardian, demands, and Jane Doe's mother individually demand judgment against defendants Jeffrey Epstein, Haley Robeson, and Sarah Kalin for compensatory damages, costs, attorney fees, and such others, and further relief as this court deems just and proper. Further, plaintiff reserves the right to amend this complaint to add a claim for punitive damages pursuant to Florida law. Count 4, civil remedy for violation of Florida statute section 772.0 or 103 against defendant Epstein, Robeson, and Kellen. Plaintiff Jane Doe, by and through her mother as parent and natural guardian, repeats and realleges through 1 through 16, or paragraphs 1 through 16 above, defendants participated in an enterprise or conspired or endeavored to so participate through a pattern of criminal activity in violation of Florida statutes section 772, 103, 3, and 4. Defendants engaged in this pattern of criminal activity by engaging in or at least two of the following incidents of criminal activity with the same or similar intents, results, accomplices, victims, and methods of commission within a five-year period, procuring for prostitution or causing to be prostituted any person who is under the age of 18 years in violation of Florida statutes, section 796.03, soliciting, inducing, enticing, or procuring another to commit prostitution, lewdness, or assignation in violation of Florida statute section 796.072F, or aiding, abetting, or participating in such acts in violation of Florida statute section 796.072H, I think that's what it says. Knowingly recruiting, enticing, harboring, transporting, providing, or obtaining by any means a person knowing that force, fraud, or coercion will be used to cause that person to engage in prostitution in violation of Florida statute section 796.045, or forcing, compelling, or coercing another to become a prostitute in violation of Florida statute Florida statute section 796.04. Okay, and then under defendant's plan, scheme, and enterprise, defendant Epstein paid defendant Robeson to repeatedly find and bring him underage girls who were delivered to Epstein by defendants Robeson and Kellen in order for Epstein to solicit, induce, coerce, entice, compel, or force such girls to engage in acts of prostitution and or lewdness. Plaintiff Jane Doe was the victim of defendant's plan, scheme, or enterprise. Defendant Robeson took Jane Doe to Epstein's home under the pretense that Jane Doe would be paid to give Epstein a massage. Defendant Kellen delivered Jane Doe to a room with the massage table and told that Epstein would be in shortly. Jane Doe was alone in the room when Epstein arrived. Epstein told her to remove her clothes and left the room. When Epstein returned, he was wearing only a towel. He removed his towel and lay down on his stomach on the massage table. Epstein again told Jane Doe to remove her clothes. In shock, fear, and trepidation, Jane Doe complied, removing her clothes except for her panties and bra. Shortly after starting to rub Epstein's back, Epstein told Jane Doe to sit on his back. Jane Doe, out of fear and trepidation, complied. After a period of time, Epstein got up from the table and went behind the door. For several minutes, Jane Doe heard loud noises and moans, believes that Epstein was masturbating. Thereafter, Epstein, naked, returned to the massage table and laid face up on the table. Epstein then told Jane Doe to continue the massage and told her to sit on top of him. Out of fear and trepidation, she complied as Jane Doe rubbed Epstein's chest. Epstein began to use a vibrator on Jane Doe's vagina. Thereafter, Epstein began to digitally stimulate and attempt to penetrate Jane Doe's vagina. At the same time, with his other hand, Epstein was masturbating. Ugh. Upon reaching orgasm, Epstein got up from the massage table and told Jane Doe to write down her name and phone number and then left the room. Oh my goodness. Okay. Jane Doe was then able to get dressed, leave the room, and go back downstairs and enter the kitchen. Epstein, Robeson, and Kellen were waiting for Jane Doe. Epstein paid Jane Doe $300. Miss Robeson was paid $200 by Epstein for bringing Jane Doe to him. Miss Robeson brought Jane Doe home, where for plaintiff Jane Doe, buying through her mother as parent and natural guardian, demands judgment against defendants Jeffrey Epstein, Haley Robeson, and Sarah Kalin for compensatory damages, treble damages under Florida State Statute Section 772.104, costs and attorney fees under Florida Statute Section 772.104, and such other and further relief as this court deems just and proper. Further, plaintiff reserves the right to amend the complaint to add a claim for punitive damages pursuant to Florida law. Jury trial demand. Plaintiffs demand a jury trial in this action. And then dated March something of 2008, respectfully submitted. Richie Leopold, personal, whatever, PA, and Theodore J. Leopold. So I'm going to stop it here. Ugh, I need to get away from this for a minute. It's so gross. Anyway, talk to y'all later. Have a good one. Bye.